Good afternoon, everybody. It's Cheryl Leong from the Growth Hub, and thanks for joining our Champion Maximiser session. Today's session will be around how to turn your champion into a system champion, system and process champion. Because one of the key things that you and every other business owner needs to focus on is that when you're bringing in a team member or when you're starting to scale, it's around recognizing that your business is a system. Your business is a system. And I know a lot of you are going, but I do so many things that are customized for my client that it's all very, I can't put it into a step-by-step guide. The moment that you feel and think that you can't process things out is when you're actually going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble and a bit unstuck, because that's when you look at things and feel that you can't systemize things. And I'm here to say that you can. So to kick things off, this is going to probably take about sort of 45 minutes, and depending on if we've got questions and answers, up to 60 minutes. But to kick things off, what are the benefits of systemizing? I'd like you to ask the question, why haven't you systemized your business? And what are some of the preconceptions that you have around systemizing? I've raised a few here, so we all know it's important, right? We know it's important, but processes and systems often sort of get relegated to the bottom of the priority pile because we're too busy. We've got all sorts of things happening. And this is what my goal is here today in this session, is to be able to help you move forward with your systems and processes in your business so you can become more efficient in your business and optimize your time, leverage your time as well, and be more profitable, right? So we're going to go through that, and here's the thing as well, how to leverage other people to help you get to where you need to be. So in today's agenda, we're going to note where are you now. So we're going to identify where you are now in your business journey in regards to your systems. We're going to talk about systemology, which is the framework that we use with our clients and our own business in systemizing our processes and our internal systems. The next question is, where do you start? Where do I don't even know, my business is a ball of things. Where do you even start? And then we go through how to quickly and easily create systems. So I'm going to actually walk you through a really, really simple step-by-step guide on how you can document your systems. And then the best part at the very end is how you can get your champion or your virtual assistant on board to help you document your processes as well. Okie dokie, let's start with where are you now? Okay, so this is sort of our systems growth pyramid. So at the bottom, you've got survival, you've got stationary, you've got scalable, and then the last bit is saleable. It doesn't necessarily mean that being saleable means you have to sell, but it is around getting it to a point where your business is valuable enough so that if for whatever reason you need to sell it, it has that ability. But if it's absolutely generating some incredible amounts of cash flow, and you might decide that you don't want to sell, you want to keep it, and if you're able to step away from the day-to-day and you've got an incredible amount of cash flow, then you might sort of go, no, this is exactly the reason why I've created this business, to create that financial freedom, right? And I've set it up so that my systems and my people, my team, can run it. But the first part is around survival mode, where you are the bottleneck, right? You and your team, you're doing all sorts of things, but people are waiting for you to make decisions. And the team's probably making things up. Everyone's doing things a little bit differently. There's a whole lot of firefighting, and it's just overwhelming and it's stressful, right? People are waiting for you as the business owner, and you are the bottleneck. It is not particularly fun. The next part is that you are starting, your team and yourself are actually having some sort of process in place, but it's in everyone's head. When you ask people, you're like, how does your business work? Well, it's all in my head. I have this conversation with people so many times, and they're like, it's all in my head, Cheryl, like how my business works. I know how it does. However, it is so person dependent. It is key. There's key person dependency, which is a huge risk. Because what that means, if for whatever reason, touch wood, someone falls ill, someone, has to go to an emergency, someone is away on holiday, God forbid, someone passes away, that all that knowledge goes with them. Right? So what does that mean to the business? Everything either stops or everything slows down to eventually stop. So the secret to this is we want to be able to extract that out of people's heads. The next part is when you're starting to go, all right, we're starting to document things, we're starting to take things out of people's head, but there's still things that are really clunky. People still need to be reminded about things, because, you might have documented it, but everyone's storing it in different places and in different formats and so on. So to get over this part, we are starting to be scalable, right? This is great because you do have processes in place, you do have people in place, and you're starting to scale. However, things are everywhere. So that's where organization needs to come in. You need to organize where your processes are, right? Where are they being stored? How are they being used? How are they being really implemented and integrated into your business? And the next part is saleable. This is when things are completely documented, right? When everyone knows where the processes are, it's easy to find, it's easy to follow, but not only that, it's implemented and integrated into how you're doing things as well. And I'll talk you through what that means when I mean integration. But it's also optimized. It's also optimized. When we talk about optimization, and it's a very broad term, optimization might be how you're automating things. Optimization is how you might be even leveraging AI to make your process or system more, quicker or faster. And optimizing is also making sure that you've got the right people in place that are doing things, right? And so that's the ultimate goal there in terms of the systems in your business as to where you want to go from, survival mode. So if you identify yourself, have a bit of a think and a real honest think as to where are you in your business right now? Are you in survival mode? Are you in stationary? Are you scalable? Or are you in, fully saleable mode? And what do I need to do to be able to get to the next part? Because if you're in stationary mode, which is probably where a lot of our the businesses that we work with are, they get to a point where they're stuck. They've got a ceiling. They can't bring on more clients. They're just like stuck, right? And so this is the part then you go, how can I leverage other people to help me extract information out? Because to be honest, ain't no one but time around that. But to get from one level to the next, you need to commit to it. So I'll share with you as well. This is an experience that we had in our own business, right? We were probably back in scalable mode. We were in scalable mode. We could scale, but everyone's processes were everywhere. They were written in different ways, and people didn't know how to find out what the marketing team had to do in this, or we didn't know what the HR team had to do when this came out, right? So it was really difficult to cross-train people until we decided to commit to the cause and literally put in a whole project around systemizing our business and organizing and optimizing it, right? But we all committed to it. We gave ourselves a time frame so that we could extract as much as possible and pull everything together as much as possible. Right? It wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. Because why we want to commit to this, because we realize what the true cost of it. So this is a question, this is a really, this is a deeper, meaningful question that you have to ask yourself, going, what is the cost of me not systemizing my business and not really understanding the power of it? Are we losing opportunities in terms of the clients? Are you spending a lot of time in your business that you're missing out on family time? Is it the burnout? Are you missing out on travel, the freedom? Like all these costs, opportunity costs, and physical costs to your business and to your life. It's what that means when you fail to systemize in your business. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I've gone through that process. And any time that I feel uncomfortable, that I go, this could be addressed by a decent system and a process, I know that's one of the first things I need to put in place so it frees me up. So the next part, we've identified where we are now. Now it's around going, what is this systemology, right? What does that mean, and why have we adopted this particular framework to help businesses? Because, if any of you have read these books, Built to Sell, Traction, Scaling Up the E-Myth, right? The underlying theme you'll realize is around growing around and centralizing your business around systems, right? And I read these books, and I knew as I was growing the Growth Hub, and we were helping our clients that it wasn't enough to just have people work with them, VAs or whichever. Like, we had to help them with their processes. We had to help them systemize. But we came up with our own way of how to do it. But it was only until we came across systemology and the framework and how simple it was to implement for any business, right? And all the different types of businesses that we've worked with, that we realized that we had to come up with a system for creating systems. And that's where systemology again gave us this framework. It gave us this 7-step framework that we can apply to any business. Right? That we've gone, the first part is defining what it is that we do, and the next part is assigning it. How do we assign this to certain people to help us create it? You, as the business owner, should not be the person that's creating the processes. Right? If you are the only person in your business, then you probably have to be the one to begin with, but why not leverage someone else in the business as well? And I've just had this conversation with a client before going, she was saying, I'm not really great with processes, but she's bringing on a VA. I said, well, there's some parts where you can do some recording with her, your new VA, and then she can document it. So, I'm going to walk through very, very soon. And then the next part is extracting. So extracting, what does that mean? It sounds really painful, but extracting is around really pulling out the processes out of your head into a form that you can document. And if you recall, the next part, the next stage is around organizing. Then, once you've extracted all your processes, you want to find a place to organize it. How do you organize it? Where do you organize it? How can people find it? Once you've organized it, then you want to integrate it into your business. You're like, well, what do I do with these processes now? Are they going to sit in a corner like a white elephant not being touched? No, that's not the way that you do it. You integrate it into how you're doing your every day. And so one of the key ways that we integrate it is we actually connect and link our processes for tasks to our project management tool. Right? We use our project management tool, which sets out all the main tasks and all the subtasks. Within all the subtasks, there are all these processes that are attached to them. So now people just need to go into the project management tool and follow the process in the project management tool, right? And in each task, there's a link to the process and how it's done. And then the next part, once you've done, step 5, then you can scale. You can go, how do I bring people on? And how do I then, the next part is optimize how we do things, right? You can't optimize things when you don't know how you're currently doing things now, right? You can't optimize and you can't improve something that you can't measure. So you need to actually, it sounds a little bit counterintuitive. Why am I processing out, what we're doing now when I know I need to improve on it? The truth is, until we process out and really understand how you're doing things, we can't easily identify where the gaps are. We can't identify where the gaps are, and we can identify where there are areas and opportunities to optimize and make more efficient. So this is the systemology framework that we use for our business and businesses that we work with, which we found incredibly effective and incredibly helpful in being able to take people through a logical and systemized way of systemizing their business. So where do you start? We talked about defining. Right? I'm not going to go through every single part of these steps, but defining is probably the first one. So defining is around really going, all right, well, where do I start? And it's around understanding, probably the best way to say it, the top and the tail of your business. And so one of the things that we initially started to do was going, all right, well, there's sales, there's marketing, there's operations, there's, client care. These are all the processes that we, that we think that happened, or we know that happened in this department, right? And we start to put them together. We go, all right, sales, there's about 20 processes here. Marketing, there's about 30 here. Client care, there's about, there's another 25 or whichever. But we didn't really know how it all came together. And that's when I just want to share this particular case study of Chris, who works with, has an accounting firm, and they have, and they're regional accountant. And part of their clientele is working with ag businesses, and they help them with their cash flow management. All right. And the key thing that we start to do with them is to identify their critical client flow. And you're like, what is the critical client flow? And this, if you can see what's on the screen here, you can see that it's a really simple workflow of the top to the bottom. So if you can see from the very, very top, it's like attention. So this is how we, draw attention from leads and clients into our business. Right? And so for them, the attention, where their leads were coming from, was from referrals, it would be partners, it would be their website, and it would be social media as well. And sometimes they do field days where they're doing presentations. Okay, great. So have a think about your business and think, where are all the channels of where my clients are coming from? Or leads, at least, they're coming in. And they're coming in here where you go, all right, how do I engage with them? What's the first thing I do to engage with them? In their case, it was a survey and a video that they were sent out. And then they got into a phone call or an email with someone in the business. Right? And so for you, it might be that you have a discovery call, for example. So someone comes through in your website, they filled in the form, and you get on and give them a quick call, 10, it might be 10, 15 minutes just to qualify them. So that might be where it says engagement, you might have a discovery call, for example, right? Or you might have it in contact. The next part is if they're then qualified, you might have a strategy call, which is the call that you ultimately close them in. So that comes part of your sales. So the next part is sales, right? But then it's sales going, all right, once I've brought this person in, what is the money that's being exchanged? So it may be that you send them, you might send them a quote, you might send them a proposal, or you might just send them an invoice that they pay. So that happens, and then there's a payment that needs to happen. Right, that's the money piece. So you might say issue invoice, client pays. And then the middle part is generally your delivery. How are you doing the delivery? How are you onboarding? And then how are you then executing and delivering that particular service? And the last piece is, if you have to issue a final invoice, going, how do you close off the project? Or are you repeating? Are you going through and, this might be a client that purchases from you, or they're, a long-term client that sticks with you all the time. If you're an accountant, in this instance, it would be generally you stay with accountants. You don't do it sort of on a monthly basis. In this case, they've got annual services. They've got BAS statements that they have to do, and claims every quarter. They might have to do a end of financial year tax planning session. So there's things that the accountant is constantly doing that's a repeat. However, if you are more a transactional business where it's a start to finish and that's it, then that's your critical client flow that you start off with. So you don't necessarily need to create complicated flow charts in this regard. For the purposes of this initial, it's that high level. What is the main service or product that I'm selling, right? And create the critical client flow for that. So you can create your own critical client flow. I'm just going to share with you as well in the comments box. So I've sharing there a share anyway, a Google Doc that you can open up. And if you decide to open it up, please make a copy of it and save it into your own drive, because we don't want 20 people tweaking the critical client flow. Make a copy and have a go at creating your own critical client flow, right? So it doesn't need to be all war and peace. Just think about the high level things. And there is a purpose in all this madness in terms of where the names are that you're filling out the boxes. That becomes your first few processes that you are going to document. Well, not you. Let's see if you can leverage someone else. Okie dokie. So what's next from there? Well, once you've identified your critical client flow, we want to have a quick and easy way to create our systems. Right? So how do we do that? Let's talk about McDonald's. We all know McDonald's. McDonald's is sort of the golden child around systems. And it doesn't mean that your business needs to work like McDonald's, but it's just we can get inspiration from how McDonald's. They've been doing this for over 60 years, and it would be really overwhelming to try to systemize like them because they've got thousands of systems. They've got it to the minute aspect of being able to have teenagers run their businesses. That's how systemized they are. However, you don't want to systemize exactly like them. You want to systemize and put in systems like they did at the very beginning, where it was the high level to begin with. And this is anyone that's watched the movie. It was about Ray Kroc, and this was around how they came up with this idea of starting to systemize. Right, so you're not systemizing like McDonald's today because they've got 60 years of systemizing, right? But they started off with their basic critical client flow to begin with. And their critical client flow was identifying what are the key areas in the business now. And in their business, it was around their kitchen floor, right? And serving. And they set things out. They're going, all right, here's where things are at now. We've got the malts here. Well, we're going to practice if we get the order in with the front counter. Where do we go? What's the first thing that we go to? All right, I've got the front counter. We've got to get the root beer, and we got to put in the order. And the multi mixer does that. So you're starting to think in a systematic sort of way as to how when this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Okay, but it doesn't need to be processed out to the minute detail at this stage if you've never systemized before. Because ultimately what we want to do is to start to rewire your brain. We get the question a lot is, what do you call a system? What do you mean by a system? A system, again, very wide ranging, very sort of quite vague, but a system can be a how-to document. How to fry the French fries. It's a process, okay? Well, the process of bringing on a new client is these 5 things need to happen. I send them a welcome email. I issue an invoice. I update my CRM, and I check my zero to make sure that the invoice has been paid. Once it's been paid, then I send them another thank you email. So that's a manual process, right? And the great thing about documenting what is a manual process to begin with is that it then becomes easier for you to go, I'm doing this really manually. I wonder what are ways that I can be more efficient and optimize this process. Right? So systems are your SOPs. It's a step-by-step way of doing things. On the smallest level, it's around taking things out of your head that are generally all jumbled up, right, and putting it in a format that allows someone else to be able to follow that train of thought. And really importantly is that you are able to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Right? And creating a video is one of the best ways to get what's out of your head out and record it as a first step. So you can use things like Loom, you can use, Google Meet or Zoom or whatever. There are other software out there like Tango and Scribe that do screen capture as well, but that's not what we're talking about today. It's around how do you then create, take things out of your head and put them into a documented form. So the first thing is you can create a quick video like a Loom, right? But you're sort of going, well, how do I then document everything, because I don't really have time to do that, right? And I've got so many other things that I need to do. This is where your mantra in your business should be who, not what or how. And when we ask the question is then, I don't have the time, how am I going to do this? Stop right there. It's not about who. So it's not about how, it's about who. Who can I leverage? So if you've got a virtual assistant, or as TGH refers to our virtual assistants as a champion, or if you've got any other business with a team, whether it's more than just you, that you can leverage that person to be your systems champion. Because systemization, ideally, if as you're growing a team, and if you're looking to scale, and if you're here, you're looking to be more than just a one-man, woman, person band, right? Because that's not going to give you the level of freedom and flexibility that you need. So ultimately, you're looking at building some sort of a team, right? And it's looking for someone who is able to help you leverage and document your processes. So this person needs to be someone who you can count on as your systems champion. And your systems champion does need to have some level of innate, underlying skill, which is that they're inquisitive. So they'll ask questions, and they're fairly detail orientated, and they've got good organizational skills. Right? And that's where, first leveraging someone else. If you've got someone in the team, identify who you think is someone who really enjoys processes. Right? Don't get someone who is fantastic at creativity but not really into the fine details, because that whole process is going to be incredibly painful for them to write, document processes. So you want to find someone who's as that underlying skill. The next part is around creating and implementing the system for systems. What does that mean? And the first thing you want to do is to list your systems. So you want to list your systems in terms of referring back to if you remember your critical client flow, you use that as your checklist of processes to start with. So if you recall, if we go back, where are we? Critical client flow. If you go back, you'll see here, let me just count 1, 2, 3, like I'm just counting the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? So let's say there's 14 main processes to document at this point. These become the systems that you go, I'm going to put it in a spreadsheet, and I am going to then make sure that for each of these 14 tasks or systems, I'm going to make a recording of it. So the first thing that you do is go, all right, I'm going to do a quick recording on task number 1. And then you save that recording. If you're doing it in Loom, it will save that for you in your Loom library. If you're doing it in any other platform, make sure that it's in Google Meet or whichever, that you have a folder that you call SOP library and another subfolder that says videos, and you save your videos in there. Make sure that you name them so that you can say this is, that video is for, what's a good example? Sending an invoice, right? Sending an invoice to a client. So you save that video in there. What happens next? And these next few steps are going to be the critical part of where you can let go of documenting your processes and leverage your VA or your champion or another team member. All right, so let's stay with me. I'm going to teach you some really, really great tools. So once you've done your little video and you've saved it in your SOP library, go to Systemology Process Pal. I'm going to copy and send you the link again in the chat box. So go into your little comments box or the chat box and open up that link, and it will open up a link to a chat GPT, which is called Systemology Process Pal. This is going to be your tool to help you write your processes. And so this is where your champion or your VA takes the transcript of your extraction video. So if you're doing it in Loom, you can get the transcript of the video in Loom, copy, paste it into this particular chat GPT and type in the prompt. Please convert this into an SOP, and it will do it automatically, powers of SOP creation. It will generate your SOP for you. Once you've done that, then you want to then cross-check that all that information is accurate. So here's a quick example. Then I'm going to share what we've done previously. Oops. I'm just going to exit this screen here. So I still got a slideshow there. Is I'm going to share with you our systems hub. So in terms of organizing your processes, you can either use your drives, like your shared drives. If you've got Google Drive, you've got OneDrive. We use System Hub. System Hub is specifically a process sort of library and process management tool, which we find incredibly helpful with making sure that everyone uses the same thing. But it's also very easy to search as well. So System Hub, and I open that System Hub in. Share this tab. So this is our System Hub, and we've got processes for all these particular areas: admin, client success, and everything else. I will say that I probably wrote out 2% of the processes that are in here. The rest were written by the team or my champion. So one of the ways I want to just walk you through, so creating video content, and you will see this, how it all comes together. So here was where I created a video, and this one was in Loom. I'm just going to open this up.
So this is the process for creating a content dump.
And I'm going to watch this in Loom, so I can show you there. And there you can see here, so I created this video in Loom. there is a transcript, and I copy, and we go back to our little chat GPT pal here. And I say, please, you can still see my screen, please create an SOP out of this transcript. And then you paste. And click the button and see it all in action. All right, here we go. Here we go. So step 1, prepare the content dump, brain dump spreadsheet. It goes through all the steps. Creating engaging hooks, supporting notes, completion criteria. You can literally then, and it says here in the overview, this procedure outlines the steps to create a content dump for video production. So what you do there is, generally I do this, I do the copy. I select all and copy. Actually, there, like that. I copy and then paste it into a Google Doc. In our case, we put it into our system hub. So you can imagine there, then you're doing this. You've got, if you've got your library of 14 to 20 videos, and your champion, your VA, can literally go into each of those videos, grab the transcript, and do exactly what I have just done. It doesn't take a lot of time. Yes, it does mean that then they'd still have to go through. It doesn't mean that it's absolutely perfect. Generally it's about 95% perfect, but there'll be things that they'll need to do just to clarify that everything's correct. If they need to create particular checklists or email templates or whatever that might be, they will need to do that, and you can attach that to your process. Right? So use these steps. You can use them incredibly easily to be able to document things without having to rely on you. If you're going to go through a training with someone in your business, literally record the video and get them to follow this exact process and document things for you. And this is what it looks like. You can stick it into your system hub, or you can stick that into your shared drive, but ultimately you have all these documented, and you can then rely on someone else to help you execute different tasks. So leverage your champion, leverage your VA. If you're not doing that at the moment, and particularly when people say, I don't know what my VA can do for me, what else, my goodness, this is probably one of the first things you can get them to help you do, because one, not only does it help them learn about your business a lot quicker, two, it's taking it off your plate, and three, it's helping you systemize your business, which is ultimately where you want to be able to get to that point of, right at the very pinnacle of that triangle, that pyramid that we looked at. That's where you want to get to. So getting your team on board, it's looking at whether you've got the right people that are existing in your team, or you need to get new, get someone else new. You want to be able to make sure that they have read a copy of Systemology. And one thing that we'll do is we'll share with you, whoever is on this call or anyone that's watching the recording, send us a response with Systemology. So comment Systemology in the chat, and we'll reach out to you to get your email as well, to send you a PDF copy of the full Systemology book, right? And so you can really start to implement these exact steps into your business ASAP. It really was a game changer for me. I remember reading it on a drive from Brisbane to Sydney, and that was a good 12-13 hours. Obviously I was driving, sharing the ride with my husband. Thankfully I'd also done some speed reading prior to that, so I went through that very quite quickly and pretty much start to implement it the next day into my business. yes, you're going to have challenges. Yes, you're going to have a little bit of pushback. But, the thing with that is that if you remember right at the very beginning, we said we've got to commit to it. It's not sexy, but it makes your business sexy. Okay? It is never the first thing that people think of. You know it's important. Prioritize it in some way or form, and not by asking, what do I need to do? It's who do I need help with? And so you can either leverage your champion or a VA or someone in your team, or you can leverage someone like us at the Growth Hub, which this is exactly what we do for businesses who don't have the time or capacity or the knowledge. We do these for them and help you systemize your business. We help document your processes. We help also identify the gaps and opportunities to optimize. So there's another level there where you can basically get a consultant into your business to identify ways to do things more efficiently and effectively as well. But ultimately, be prepared. There are going to be challenges. There might be pushback, but it's really, the outcome that you get at the very end of pushing through and committing to the vision is going to be absolutely worth it. So we've gone through all these, where you are now. Have a look again, identify where you are now and what we've gone through to go, what is the next step that I need to do? Do I need to start to extract my processes? Do I need to start to organize my processes, or do I need to optimize? We talked through what was systemology and the framework that we leverage and we use for ourselves and our clients as well. We talked about how do you create your critical client flow, and one of the key bits around then, well, I've created my critical client flow. How do I quickly and easily create systems? And we talked about leveraging your team, leveraging your VA, leveraging your champion, leveraging your team, or ultimately, if that isn't an option for you, leveraging our expertise to come in and do that for you and with you as well. So that sort of wraps things up. That was a real quick overview, but hopefully you're able to get some key steps that you can take away. Again, the one with ChatGPT and the links that I've just shared with you, you can take away from this today and implement it straight away. If you've got any questions, please feel free to unmute or pop them into the chat. Otherwise, if you want to book a time to speak to one of our system specialists to see how we can help you, I shall pop the link into the chat as well. Here, I shall pop the link in there, and you can definitely have a bit of a chat to them about where you are. When we talk about that pyramid, where you are at the moment. Are you stagnant? Are you scalable? Are you saleable? If you're not quite where you want to be, what do you need to do to get that? So hopefully from today, you're able to take some massive action to push you forward, and more so what the whole theme of today is around leverage your systems champion. Who is your systems champion? If it's your VA, if it's your champion, if it's someone else in the team, identify that person, get them familiarized with the systemology framework, and start to implement. And if you'd like us to guide you through this and take you through this whole program end to end, you've got that booking link in there. Have a chat to one of our system specialists. We'd love to support you, just as we have for dozens of other businesses, and to be able to see them get to the point where they are now, not only being able to maximize how they're using their virtual assistants, but also just being able to see how their business is scalable and has grown so much more effortlessly. That is the coolest part. So I hope you found that helpful. Rafiq and Lucas, I see you're online. Do you have any questions? Feel free to unmute or pop it in the chat. No, that's all good. This is recorded, so anyone that's watching this, feel free to email us with any other questions or book in a time to speak with us. Oh, Rafiq, yes.
Yeah, this is more of a question, Cheryl, for our viewers who'll be watching this. Maybe they might have this question in mind, which is there a specific time frame that we need to put our champions through in order for them to become, systems aware, process aware?
Is there a time frame? Well, to be honest, it can be done so quickly. Like within this very quick training that we've done today, this session, I reckon they can just follow those steps that we've just done, and that person will be up to speed in no time. I reckon within a day or two, right? Yes, there's going to be a little bit of refining what to expect in a process document. Yes, but we're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for progress. I'd rather, and this is what I say to my team and clients, like I'd rather that you have something in place and it not being perfect than not to have anything in place at all. Right? Progress over perfection. And the fact that if you've got your first lot of systems in place, and then you're able to keep encouraging your champion and VA to keep adding to that, they will get better at things. They'll get used to training other people and they'll see the gaps. So in terms of getting them up to speed, to be honest, show them this particular recording, ask them to follow those steps that I mentioned in here, and they within a day they'll be up and running.
Thank you, Cheryl.
No worries. Well, thank you, Rafiq and Lucas for joining me, and anyone else that's listening to this recording. I hope that it's been helpful. This is going to be shared out to our clients as well with those links that I shared. So if we can just make sure that those are included as well. And I'd love to hear your feedback on how you go implementing what we've gone through to maximize your champion or your virtual assistant in your team. So thanks a lot. We'll see you in our next Maximiser session.